Now on the Locked On Celtics podcast, the Celtics had it, they lost it, and then they got it back again. And the biggest play of this game is not the one that you're thinking of.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team's the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts on the weekends when they play like this one. So subscribe, watch the show on YouTube, and get into the comments section. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I'm a beat writer covering the Celtics for Sports Illustrated on Celtics on SI. I have been covering the team for about 20 years now. I have been doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about the team. Today's bonus podcast is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase of tickets to anything, maybe tickets to a Celtics game. Later on, we'll get into Jaylen Brown's triple-double. We'll get into Payton Pritchard and Sam Hauser, who Pritchard had a great game. Sam Hauser had another really solid game, like all-around solid game. But this was not a crisp one. We'll talk about like just the flow and why I'm a little worried about tomorrow. It should be obvious about that one. But let's just right at the top. Let's get right to it because this was an incredible the highs, the lows. This was just every emotion. If you're invested in the Celtics, this had everything. I mean, everything. So it was not a great game. The Celtics didn't look crisp at all. They went back and forth. They started out in a big run. They gave up a big run, and that was kind of even. And then at the end of the game, it was like, hey, here they go. The Celtics didn't look great, but they're up 10 with 3 minutes to go. They went on a 13-3 run. Felt good, right? Put a bad team away down the stretch. Just got to finish this off. And they didn't. They went on a 13-3 run, and they immediately gave up a 13-3 run because they couldn't rebound. The last 8 points the Nets scored were all second-chance points. They were all controllable stuff. They overreacted defensively. They let Claxton go 2-3 times for putback dunks. It was horrible, terrible execution. And at that point, it was like, wow, this team doesn't look great and doesn't look like they deserve to win this game. Going to overtime, and it was lost. This game was over. But I think we have two elements here. My first two bullet points, if you're watching on YouTube, the rookies save and Joe Mazzulla, who really did. I mean, there may be some questions about his substitutions, but this was like trying to push buttons. The overtime, the timeout management was incredible. And his decision making on putting Hugo Gonzalez in at the end was incredible. But it all goes hand in hand because the Celtics were down, down 5. And Luka Garza had fouled out. Neemias Queta had fouled out. Luka played well. Luka played pretty well in this game, but was committing the fouls. But he was doing a great job getting down low, finishing off passes, keeping possessions alive. Just Luka Garza stuff. Neemias Queta was okay in this game, but he had he was under the weather, so he was battling a lot of that. And he probably statistically could have done a lot better if the Celtics early on had actually used him more. They kind of like there was a lot of there were a lot of missed reads. When I say this is not a crisp game, there were a lot of missed reads. There were a lot of bad transition baskets that they allowed. So Queta played better than the 2 of 3, the 6 points and 5 rebounds would show. He probably could have had a few more assists than the 3 that he had and a few more than the 6 points that he had if they had just found him in a normal short roll when the team is doubling, like Scal was talking about it throughout the game. But I don't know if you remember, like a few games ago, like a few weeks ago at this point, maybe a month, where Jaylen got blitzed. I forget what it was off the top of my head. And Nemi set a pick and then just kind of ran away. And I was like, Nemi has to be in the short roll in that spot. And he just brain fart. And it was a turnover that Jaylen committed and whatever. People got on me about that. But there Nemi was in the short roll. It's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. And the Celtics missed him. And those are the things, like when he does things like that, well, you got to hit him. So anyway, that's a side note. When I say not crisp, that's what happened. So Nemi was, he fouled out. Luka fouled out. They go small for a little bit. Then Amari Williams comes in and they run a play with the Celtics down 5 at the end of the overtime. It was, I'm trying to get the play-by-play so I get the exact minutes, but this is all convoluted. Sam Hauser throws the touchdown pass that gets to Amari, who just immediately flings it over to Payton Pritchard, and Pritchard hits a three-pointer. The Celtics had one timeout, and it was 7 seconds left. And I think a lot of people would have just called the timeout, and the Celtics did not. So Pritchard pulls up. Yeah, it was 117-112 with 7.9 left. Zaire Williams hits 2 free throws. They don't call the timeout. They had 1 left, and they execute that play without calling timeout. That was the biggest play of this game because it allowed the next big play, which was also, I guess you could say, tied for the biggest play of the game because it was the Hugo Gonzalez 3 that tied it and sent it into second overtime. That doesn't happen without that perfect execution, without calling the timeout. Joe has 1 timeout left. They don't call it because they know they need 2 baskets. So they need to execute at least 1 play without a timeout. So try that one and see. And they did. They knew what play they wanted to call, and they get it to Amari. He gets it over perfectly. Pritchard hits the three-pointer. The Nets call their timeout. Traore, who Scal could just never get that name right. It was just crazy. It was like 5 minutes of him saying, well, how do you say that name again? Like, somebody write this down phonetically for Scal. I get it. You don't know how to pronounce the name. No problem. Like, how many times are you going to ask before somebody writes it down? Traore. No, Traore went out there and hit the free throw, but missed the second one. And that's when the Celtics called the timeout. So the execution of the first touchdown play allows them to keep the timeout. They needed the missed free throw. They got it. Then they call a timeout. Then Joe has Amari on the floor. It was Baylor inbounding with Amari on the floor. So that's 2. Jaylen, Pritchard, and Anthony. And then, so Amari comes out, Joe at the last, like, split second, sub, recognizes what they're doing. It's a zone. And Michael Porter Jr. explained it afterwards. They were kind of like creating an umbrella around the 3-point line. The sub comes in, and it's kind of screws things up. The Nets start to get confused. They start going, a few guys are zoning up, a couple of guys are thinking it's man. They run the play. Baylor finds Hugo in the left corner. Boom, 3-pointer, amazing. Like, a lot of people have said it. I've never seen a guy come in at the last second, like just in time, and then get the game tying 3-pointer like that. So that was incredible. And then in the overtime, it was Amari again. Amari comes in, gets the and one. Beautiful relocation. Reads Payton Pritchard's drive perfectly, relocates to give him an outlet. Exactly what a big is supposed to do. perfect play, gets it, finishes the play, 3-point play, and that gives the Celtics a 4-point lead. After, I think it was a 4-point lead. Then with like 40 seconds left, the Nets drive. Amari gets a block, keeps it at a 4-point game. And then by the time they get back down, even if Michael Porter Jr. had hit that shot, it would have been, I don't think they would have had enough time to win this thing. So Amari gets a huge block shot because that would have cut it to 2 with 40-something seconds left, 30-something seconds left. And that would have been plenty of time. Who knows what would have happened at that point. So just incredible. And there was a tip in at the beginning of the overtime that Gonzalez had. Like Hugo was just, every time he was in, he did something positive. When I sit here and I start gushing about Hugo Gonzalez, this is not going to stop me at all. This is just going to make me say, see, I'm like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, like pointing to see, that's it right there. So Hugo was great. 4 of 4, 2 of 2 from 3 at 10 points, 7 rebounds. Just was in there for just everything he did was positive in 18 and a half minutes. Amari Williams plays 5 minutes, and they were like the 5 most impactful minutes. In fact, in 5 minutes, he was a +7, which was second only to Jaylen. So that was crazy. So, and also shout out Ron Harper for being a +7 in almost 7 minutes. That was earlier in the game. The rookies came in, made a huge impact. Joe Mazzulla, timeout management. Remember when he sucked at timeouts? Remember that? So that's how the Celtics won this game. I'm going to come back. We'll kind of, this is a bonus podcast, so it's going to be a little bit shorter. 2 segments. We'll come back and wrap it up with the other guys, Pritchard, Hauser, Jaylen Brown, who had big games in their own right in different ways. So that's all coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Man, it would have been incredible to be in the building in the Barclays Center for that. If you go back and listen to the Hugo Gonzalez 3-pointer, watch that video again, think about how many people use the Game Time app to get in there that were Celtics fans, because that sounded like the TD Garden and not Barclays Center. I'm sure a lot of those Celtics fans use the Game Time app to get in because it's fast, it's simple, and no guesswork. Browsing the app is straightforward, intuitive. The tickets, you just find those in a few taps. You can see the view from your seat right from your phone. So when you're going into a new building, you need to know what you're going to see, and it shows you right away. The price that you see is what you're going to pay because the fees are all included up front. So the total is clear right from the start. And if you want to unlock great seats at a better value, use the zone deals because they'll pick the seats for you in a zone that you want to sit. So whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything's right there in one place. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED, NBA, for $20 off. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. Boy, I wonder what the odds were right at that timeout of the Celtics losing the game before Hugo Gonzalez hit that 3. That would have been a great time to get in on those odds. Maybe those odds, some fun odds were available at NBA Happy Hour, which would have been on Friday afternoon. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, NBA Happy Hour, which is your official pregame. You got boosts, you got bonuses, you got all kinds of surprises on the app. So open up that FanDuel app, go sign up, and check it out every week, every Friday, right before tip-off from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The timing is perfect, right before the weekend starts. So go check it out. On the FanDuel app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. When you sign up, it'll ask you to set a limit, set a budget, whatever you would normally spend, whatever you want to spend on a night out, that's what you would probably set as your disposable income. That's your limit. That's your budget. Gamble responsibly. FanDuel wants to help you do that. And if you hit a cold streak, you get cut off, no problem. Come back when you get paid again or whatever, and go have some fun on the FanDuel app. Check out NBA Happy Hour at the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA, Locked On NBA Game Night, which I host game night on Wednesdays with Jake Madison, covering every game. 7 days a week, we cover the rotating hosts. We cover the NBA over at Locked On NBA Game Night. And thank you for being an everydayer with me every Monday through Friday, plus these bonus podcasts. If you're with me, if you're an everydayer, love it. If you're not, please become one when you subscribe. And if you want to join the Everydayer Club, for $5 a month, you get ad-free audio compatible with all of your podcasting apps. You get access to our Discord server. You get merchandise drops. It's all there. Join the Everydayer Club. $5 a month, or if you want to pay upfront, $50 a year, you get 2 months off. So check it out. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. So this game was basically an exercise in just holding on, finding a way to get through the tough stretches. The second quarter stretch where the Celtics just sucked, couldn't hit a thing. The fourth quarter, that end of the fourth quarter was just a complete collapse, but doing enough to at least keep it at overtime, and doing enough in the overtime, finding a way. This was just hang on until you find a way. And I honestly thought that hanging on, finding a way was like accomplished at the 3-minute mark. The Celtics, look, I've said this. If you're a regular listener, if you are an everydayer, you probably heard me say this at one point during one of these shows. I had no high expectation for this because the Celtics have been on this road trip. As I've said, that home game, I don't care that they played it in Boston. That was a road game at home. They hit the road on Sunday, the 11th, went to Indiana. They had a couple days off before hitting Miami, then Atlanta, then Detroit. Then, okay, yeah, you come home, but you have one day. So it's a road game where you don't stay in a hotel, right? It's a road game where all of your stuff exists, but it's same cadence, same everything. Land in Boston, go find your bed, get some sleep, wake up, go. Your shoot around is in a familiar place. Your game is in a familiar place. But then after that game, boom, you're back out the door. So it really was a road game. You travel from Detroit, we're going to Boston, we're going to Brooklyn and Chicago. So this has been a 2-week-long road trip. They will get home. Hopefully they get home on Sunday the 25th, and somewhere between Chicago and Boston, there's a path of being able to fly. I'm assuming they're going to fly right after the game Saturday night and try to get here before all the craziness happens with the weather. I don't know. I should look to see where Portland is coming from, because I don't know. Are they going to be able to get in? I don't know if the weather is supposed to be as bad as they say. Is Monday's game in jeopardy? Well, all right. Well, we'll deal with that. I just looked at the schedule. It's first responders night. So are the first responders going to be, you're going to be busy with all the mayhem out on the streets. We'll see about that. First things first, I didn't have high hopes about this game. I knew it was going to be sloppy. I knew it was going to be kind of gross. The fact that it was almost like lucky that that Nimi got sick, because he was under the weather. Amari Williams said after the game that they called him up. They called him from Maine. He was at shoot around at Portland in the morning, and then got on a plane and flew to New York so he could be with the team at night because Nimi wasn't feeling great, and there was a possibility that he wasn't going to play. So Amari was active, and good thing he was active. But the whole game was just kind of gross. And so Pritchard, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He shot well from the field, 13 of 24. He was 6 of 11, played 40 minutes. He had a stretch early on where he was missing everything, just missing all the layups. That was just kind of terrible. He could have had a bigger game. Although, if he had had a better game earlier and made all of his layups, maybe they don't go to overtime. Regardless, he was good early and kind of helped the Celtics stay afloat. Sam Hauser was great early and helped the Celtics stay afloat. I thought if there was one criticism I had during the game, it was that Sam didn't get the ball enough. Like, he ended up taking 12 shots and was 5 of 10 from 3, but this could have been a 10 3-pointer game for him. I thought he had it going early, and the Celtics kind of missed. When I say missed a lot of reads, like there was one where Shireman got the ball on the left wing and had an easy swing over to Sam. And I was like, you got to make that pass because Sam's kind of open. And then the next time down, Sam takes a really contested 3. And I'm like, I'm not going to say both of those were Baylor's fault because that 3, he didn't make Sam take that 3. But when you're a shooter and you're open and you're feeling good, you're feeling like, I know if I take this shot, I'm open. I know I'm going to make it. Sam doesn't swing the ball. I mean, Baylor doesn't swing the ball. So Sam's like, okay. Next time down, Sam gets it. And he's like, I'm not even thinking about anything else. I'm shooting. And somebody was there. And that is Sam's fault. But also the lack of the ball movement and the right reads led to to that shot. And I think that leads to broken plays because players just naturally kind of fall into I don't know if I'm going to get this ball again. I want to shoot. I feel good. Let me shoot. And so now you got 2 broken plays instead of 1. So those types of plays were happening throughout. The Celtics were falling asleep. They were giving up a ton of transition. They were not offensive. They were not getting defensive rebounds. Even when they had one of their bigs on the floor, it was not the prettiest game. But Sam, I thought played great. I thought Payton played great. Anthony Simons played really well. Just didn't hit shots, but I thought he did a pretty decent job. In fact, he was a +6. He scored 10 points, but it was only 4 of 16 shooting. If he had gotten some shots to fall, it would have been good. But I don't think he played poorly. And that brings me to Jaylen Brown. We're going to end the show on Jaylen Brown, who played 45 minutes and 40 seconds. And after the game said, I didn't have my normal burst. I've been dealing with some hamstring tightness. Well, right away, that tells me Jaylen Brown out hamstring tightness is probably going to be on the injury report on Saturday. So need to kind of watch for that. While I'm here, before I get back to Jaylen, I have no expectations for this Saturday game. We're going to watch it. We'll all watch it together. But if you got plans, don't cancel your plans for a Celtics game. Listen to the podcast later. I'll fill you in. It's probably not going to go well. That might be because it's a bonus podcast. I don't have to do the full half hour. That might be a 10-minute show where it's like, okay, Celtics sucked and we're moving on. They could easily win this game too. Like, I'm not saying like it's a guarantee they're going to lose, but after a double overtime, it's their 3rd game in 4 nights. It's that 2-week stretch on the road. It's 4 games this week. Everything is working against them. Derrick Rose gets his jersey retired, his number retired. Tons of energy in that building tomorrow night. It's going to be crazy. The Bulls are going to be hyped. I don't think the Celtics kind of stand a chance, but that's why they play the games. I've thought that before, and the Celtics have played well. So, but I'm just reserved. I'm saying I have 0 expectations. After a double overtime game, Jaylen, 45.5 minutes. Payton, 40 minutes. Now, Derrick didn't play. They gave him a rest day. That was nice. So he'll have the bulk of the responsibility. I would be surprised if Jaylen doesn't play, if Jaylen plays. But he did have a triple-double, 27 points, 12 assists, 10 rebounds. The 12 assists were huge because he did a great job with all the double teams and the blitzing. And maybe of all the stats, 27, 12 assists, 10 rebounds, 2 turnovers. That's it. 2 turnovers. That's huge. So just 2 turnovers for Jaylen is a big deal because, he still has a little bit of a turnover problem on top of everything. And he didn't shoot well. 9 of 27 from the field, 5 of 10 from the free throw line. He has those weird kind of bad free throw shooting nights every once in a while. He was 4 of 10 from 3, so 40% is good. But everything else, he just didn't play. He didn't shoot well. But good job accepting the double teams. Good job getting off of the ball, not forcing too much. And the Celtics made enough of the plays. They did enough. They put up 109 shots, which is really good. 51 of them were 3-pointers, but that means 58 of them were 2-pointers. The free throw shooting has to get better. The missing those in the fourth quarter. Again, game could have been over in the fourth quarter with some made free throws and with like 1 or 2 rebounds. Like that's all that it was. But shout out to Hugo for having the stones to hit that shot. Shout out to Amari, who started out his day in Maine, finished it in Brooklyn, and was a huge part of the win. Shout out to Joe Mazzulla for hitting those buttons and managing the timeouts and understanding how much time you really have. And even like 10 seconds on the clock is time for multiple shots, and you don't just burn your timeouts. I know plenty of coaches. Most of the coaches would have called the timeout in those situations. And Joe just trusted his team, and it worked perfectly. So a nice win. Brooklyn had a lot of motivation after getting smacked around by the New York Knicks. And they, that screener play that they were the same thing that Michael Porter Jr. crushed them on the last time they played. They ran that same thing over and over and over again, and the Celtics maybe finally at the end did enough in the last couple of plays to stop it, slow it down, but it was just demoralizing to see them. Just, oh, here we go again. Same play. Here we go again. See the coaches on the sidelines all jumping up and making the same motion, like you got to go over this and whatever. Like that was so bad. They have to fix that stuff. But to their credit, and I'm going to wrap it up with this, the X's and O's, Jaylen Brown said this, the X's and O's are the X's and O's, but this team is defined by playing hard. And they do. They always play hard. They very rarely dog it. They very rarely mail anything in. In fact, sometimes maybe they play too hard, and it's like, give these guys a day off. But excuse me, but they played great. I mean, they played hard. They didn't play great. They played hard, and they got to win. Get them where you can get them. And now the Celtics move to 28-16. Like I said, the Chicago game is what it is. But for now, the Celtics are in second place, ahead of the third place Toronto Raptors. The Knicks sliding down to fourth in the East. They didn't play, but Toronto won, and they're a half game ahead of the Knicks. Celtics sitting there in second place still. Tomorrow night, Chicago. I will have a bonus podcast after that. I can't tell you how long it's going to be. I can't tell you if it's going to be, the game's going to be worth much discussion. Maybe it's going to be an hour-long podcast, or it's going to be like a super excited podcast because they defy expectations, or my expectations. Or maybe it's going to be a 10-minute podcast of, okay, they sucked, this guy sucked, that guy sucked, that guy sucked. We're done here. We'll talk tomorrow. Like, it could be either one of those. Either way, subscribe to the show wherever you subscribe. You can watch the show on YouTube. And now I would love it if you shared the podcast. Spread the word. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast. Here on the Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day.